Halloween is upon us, and you know what that means? A multitude of YouTube videos by people who don't know what they're talking about, either telling us that Halloween is pagan or that Halloween is the devil's holiday and that Christians should not celebrate it. I, on the other hand, am here to tell you today that Halloween is neither pagan nor the devil's holiday, but rather that Halloween, or All Hallows Evening, is 100% Catholic. This ancient holiday marks the beginning of the Triduum of All Hallowtide, which consists of Halloween on October 31st, All Hallows Day or All Saints' Day on November 1st, and ends with All Souls' Day on November 2nd. From as early as the 4th century AD, Christians would hold feast days at various times of the year to honor the many martyrs of the Church, and eventually these feast days were expanded to include all of the saints, martyred or not. But it wasn't until the 9th century that Pope Gregory IV decreed November 1st to be the official All Saints' Day and a holy day of obligation. Per Christian tradition, the festivities of a particular feast day would actually begin on the night before, which in the case of All Saints' Day would be All Saints' Eve, or Halloween, on the night of October 31st. Likewise, many of the traditions associated with Halloween are also of a Christian origin. To give just a few examples, trick-or-treating comes from a custom called souling, or mumming. It was common during All Hallowtide for young children to dress up in costumes and go door to door asking for soul cakes or some other treat in exchange for offering prayers for the homeowner's deceased family members. Sometimes the children would be asked to do a trick, like sing a song or play an instrument, before receiving the treat. There was even a song specifically about soul cakes that goes as follows. A soul, a soul, a soul cake. Please good missus, a soul cake. An apple, a pear, a plum, or a cherry. Any good thing to make us all merry. 1 for Peter, 2 for Paul, 3 for him who made us all. It was also a common practice to hollow out turnips and place candles inside of them to symbolize the souls in purgatory. These came to be called jack-o'-lanterns, or sometimes jack-mick-lanterns, as Jack is a common boy's name, and, well, it's a lantern. Children would often be seen carrying jack-o'-lanterns as they would go from house to house while souling. In America, the turnips were mostly replaced with pumpkins instead. Now there is the folk tale of Stingy Jack, a man who makes a deal with the devil to avoid going to hell, and is doomed to wander the earth as a lost soul, carrying a jack-o'-lantern turnip. While some may claim that this story is the origin of the jack-o'-lantern, it is far more likely that this story was invented long after the jack-o'-lantern itself was already in common use. And jack-o'-lanterns weren't just for Halloween either. They were also associated with the autumn season in general. Here is an old picture of a Thanksgiving postcard with an image of a jack-o'-lantern on it. Now you may have heard the popular claim that the real origin of Halloween dates back to a pre-Christian pagan holiday called Samhain, a time when pagans believed that the veil separating the world of the living and the world of the dead was at its thinnest, which allowed for spirits or other such beings to cross over more easily from the other side. However, this claim has no historical basis. The earliest record we have of Samhain dates back to a manuscript from the 9th century, which describes it merely as a harvest festival, with no mention of any kind of pagan or supernatural connections. So don't be fooled. The pagan version of Samhain is not rooted in ancient history, but is rather a modern invention by neo-pagans that is used to distract from the real meaning and origin of Halloween. Likewise, The themes of horror and the occult that have now become mainstream with the modern-day celebration of Halloween are also new, and are primarily an American invention. Unfortunately, it has become common for people to engage in cultic practices during Halloween, or for witches to perform their evil rituals on this night, which is why many believers argue that Christians should not celebrate on the same night that witches do. The problem, however, is that the enemies of the church are always looking to pervert and invert Christian holidays, and they have specifically chosen Halloween, a night to honor and celebrate all the saints, and as a mockery, they have turned it into a night to celebrate all the devils instead. So Halloween is not a pagan holiday that got Christianized, rather, it is a Christian holiday that got paganized. As Catholics, we need to reclaim Halloween from the occultists and witches and celebrate this holy night for what it really is, a night to honor all of the saints. One way you can do this is have your child learn about a particular saint and then have them dress up as that saint for Halloween. And if anyone asks your child who they're dressed up as, they can give a brief explanation about the saint and do a little evangelization. But would it be okay to celebrate the spookier aspects of Halloween? God is the God of the true, the good, and the beautiful, but He is also the God of the creepier things, like bats and spiders. So having a little spooky fun on Halloween is still okay, and would not be a sin. Just don't go overboard. And lastly, I would like to remind all of you that as Christians, we still do need to be careful on this night. You should never ever engage in any kind of occult activities, as you could open yourself up to demonic influence through them. So seances and Ouija boards are off the table, and praying over your kids' candy might not be such a bad idea. And that, boys and girls, is why Halloween is a Catholic holiday. Now, this was only a brief overview of the subject, but the purpose of this video was not to give a long and exhaustive history on Halloween, but to simply give an explanation as to why Halloween is perfectly okay for Catholics and non-Catholics alike to celebrate. That's all for this video. Please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, as it would really help the channel out. God bless, and take care.
Oh.